You know that feeling, right? You're just scrolling through your feed, you see your favorite creator holding some new gadget or wearing a cool new jacket, and suddenly this little voice in your head goes,
Wow, should I buy the same thing?
it's a huge phenomenon that has totally reshaped how we all shop. So today, let's dive into the incredibly powerful world of influencer marketing.
How can one single picture, posted by just one person, somehow turn a pretty niche collectible into a worldwide obsession? All thanks to this post from Lisa of Blackpink with a little character called Labubu. And yeah, it might look like magic, but what's really going on is a very powerful, very deliberate marketing engine humming away in the background.
Let's break down this influencer marketing engine. It's just brands teaming up with creators, people with a dedicated following, to get the word out about their stuff. And that brings us to a really key concept, brand image. See, it's not just what a company's logo looks like or what the ads say. Think of it more like a vibe or a feeling. It's this shared idea that gets created in our own minds by both the brand and by us, the consumers. And a lot of that happens through the influencers we choose to follow.
And right here is the key difference. But when a product just shows up naturally in the daily life of someone we follow and trust, that just hits different. It feels less like a sales pitch and way more like getting a recommendation from a friend.
The whole strategy rests on building up our trust, making these giant faceless corporations feel more human, and creating this undeniable sense of social proof. Let's take a look at each one.
First, and honestly, this is the most important one, trust. We just tend to see influencers as more authentic than some corporate ad, right? So the trust we have in that person, it transfers over to the brand they're showing us. This is incredibly powerful in big fandoms, like in K-pop. So when an idol recommends something, it doesn't feel like an ad. It feels like they're sharing something they genuinely love. Second, influencers make brands feel human. Instead of some sterile product shot on a white background, by weaving the product into a personal story, it creates an emotional connection that a traditional ad could only dream of.
And third is social proof. When you see a post with thousands or millions of likes and comments, your brain gets a very clear signal. Whoa, this is popular. This is desirable. People like me are into this.
As researchers point out, these engagement numbers signal popularity and social acceptance. And what does that do? It reinforces the brand's image, builds up our trust even more.
But it's not a magic bullet. Not at all. This is a really high-stakes game, and it has its own set of rules. And if you break them, well, that can have some pretty serious consequences for a brand. So for brands, this really means they have to play it smart. First, the influencer has to be a natural fit for the product. If it's not, the audience will see right through it in a second. Second, they have to be transparent. Hiding that it's an ad is the fastest way to destroy all that trust you just built. And finally, you have to remember that a viral post doesn't always mean a ton of sales. It's just not that simple.
So let's bring it back to our first example, the Labubu doll. This is the perfect case study for the upside. Lisa's genuine seeming interest completely transformed a niche item into a cultural must-have. And it boosted the brand's image instantly, all without a single formal ad.
But here's the flip side. When a brand becomes way too dependent on one person's star power, its visibility can take a massive hit the second that relationship changes.
So what does all this mean? It means that the relationship between a brand and an influencer, well, it's both incredibly powerful and, at the same time, surprisingly fragile.
So let's just put it all together. The power here is undeniable. You can get instant trust, you can get a human connection, and you can get massive global reach in the blink of an eye. But the fragility is just as real. It all hangs on that partnership feeling authentic. And as we just saw, leaning too heavily on one single person can be a huge strategic risk.
So what's the ultimate takeaway from all this? It's not just about paying a famous person to hold your product. Real long-term success is a balancing act. It's about using an influencer's powerful voice to amplify your message while also building a brand that's strong enough to stand on its own 2 feet. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. In this whole ecosystem where one single post can create a global trend, who do you think holds the real power? Is it the brand with all the money? The influencer with all the followers? Or is it maybe you,